Hi folks, this is Kenneth Price, your psychiatric shaman. This is the video which I've been putting off. It's the video I don't want to make, but it's the video you've been asking me for. So, you guys want my story? Well, I don't want to tell it, but if it's helpful, we'll pretend like it's an AA meeting and I'm a speaker, and you give me 45 minutes and I'm going to stand there on the podium and give you my drunk-a-log. The only reason I go back into the story, folks, is so you guys can understand that I'm one of you. Hope's possible. If you haven't watched my other videos, my name is Kenneth Price, and I've given myself the title, the Psychiatric Shaman, because I've started an outreach ministry for the medically injured community, although none of you are really truly injured in the truest sense, because you guys are coming off psych meds and benzodiazepines. You're going through a horrendous withdrawal, and you're spinning in the waters of the North Atlantic, and there are not enough lifeboats. And you're frightened and you're screaming, but that's not true. There are enough lifeboats this time. This is not the Titanic 1912. All right. The reason I put this video off is we want to work on the tools first and foremost. We don't want to go back into our stories. And I highly discourage storytelling when I do the Zoom calls on Sunday. And I know it's understandable. I'm not saying stories are bad, because we need to be seen and heard in our pain. And that is actually the role of a therapist and a compassionate therapist. I'm not a therapist. I am a way shower. I'm a lighthouse. I'm a psychiatric shaman. I was somebody who was extremely polydrugged. I was somebody who was addicted to drugs and alcohol. And to make to give you the synopsis, I had several spiritual awakenings, and I popped out of it. All right, so here it comes. Remember, it's hard to encapsulate 54 years in, maybe a 20 or 30-minute video, so I'm going to leave out a lot of parts. But in order for you to recover, and in order for me to recover, remember, we're recovering together. Remember, there's no hierarchy here. I'm going to do the best I can, folks, because I got to be honest with you, some of this stuff is still pretty painful. But it'll be my honor and my privilege to expose to you my humanity. You expose yours. We bring it up to the surface, bring it out to the light. And that's how the alchemy takes place. That's how it works. Today I can say Mom and Dad did the best they could. And they did do the best they could. But depending on what level you're at, no parents, not a single parent on the face of this earth can give their child completely what they need. Not in this time-space dimension. So that's my short qualification to both of my parents. God rest their souls. I love you today. I'm sorry I put you through all that. Extremely conservative. I was born in Orange County, Southern California in 1967. Extremely rigid and dogmatic, based politically and religiously. I've already said in my other videos, my father was a born-again capitalist, my mother was a born-again Christian, I became a born-again homosexual. We both chose 3 different religions. But the homosexuality part, I'm not going to call it the gay part. I'm always going to be a homosexual, by the way. That one threw me for a loop at age 17. I had been keeping family secrets my entire life, and that's the way the families operated back then. If you know the old adage, don't air your dirty laundry outside the family. And that was the rigid base which had been clogging my emotions since I was a very little boy. Clogging the emotions, pushing the emotions down, judging the emotions, controlling the emotions, labeling the emotions, good emotion, bad emotion. My mother was an alcoholic, folks. She did the best she could, but emotions frightened her. And so the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, folks. By the time I was 17, I realized I was gay, and I had to figure it all out for myself. That was 1984. I was doing the best I could. I packed my truck. I come from a wealthy family too, by the way, so there was never any shortage of funds. I packed up my pickup truck, I loaded it with my belongings, and I moved. There was plenty of, like I said, there were plenty of resources, so I rented myself an apartment, started college, but here was the mindset that I had. I needed to figure out what was wrong with me. My fundamental belief, my fundamental core belief at age 18 was I have to figure out what's wrong with me. And I wasn't going to go in the direction of anything spiritual. As a matter of fact, excuse me, but I was doing this to the Christians. Fuck you. You've rejected every gay conversation, and I was angry at the Christians. More stuff to stuff down. Started drinking when I was 17. Tried to figure it all out. What does a young 18-year-old do? Nice looking 18-year-old, smart, handsome, wealthy. Go to West Hollywood and sit in a bar. And yeah, things went from bad to worse. Picked up a few hustlers and got raked over the coals. And I stuffed that too. Push it down with more drugs and alcohol. Honestly, folks, it was the best I could do. Trying to keep it a secret, trying to live all these double lives, trying to change my pronouns, trying to pretend like I was dating women. A couple more boyfriends, some of them wonderfully altruistic men, probably angels, but they couldn't handle a mess like me. They all saw the heart that I had inside, but I was a fundamental mess. I guess things were rather homeostatic until my grandfather died when I was 19 years old, and my father got control of the family business, and things went from bad to worse at home. My third boyfriend was an absolute angel, and he took one look at me on my 21st birthday and he said, "No one, Kenny, will love you as much as I do, and have to say what I'm about to say now. I gotta let you go, kiddo. You need help." Maybe that was my first wake-up call. Would have been April 5th, 1988. I think that was probably my first nervous breakdown, folks. I know that was the beginning of the end with the relationship with my father. I had already started dabbling in 12-step programs by that time. Adult children of alcoholics. So what does a 21-year-old do who's that undeveloped? He blames his parents. I said a few choice words at age 21 that I probably will regret for the rest of my life. But moving on with the story, Michael, God rest her soul. Michael and Freddie saved my life. He's got a panel on the AIDS quilt. He sent me to psychiatry, and the psychiatrist sent me to Al-Anon, and Al-Anon got me to AA. So listen, I'm getting a pretty good start in life. By age 22, I'm starting to rock and roll through 12-step programs. But my father was a hardline Republican, and he didn't like that all this therapy was bringing all that repression up. Therapy was actually doing that, folks. It had to get worse before it got better. It was bringing it up. But the purpose of therapy is so you can feel it. I didn't have those tools in the late 80s to feel it. And it was on or about maybe 22, maybe 23 years old when they had to put me on medication. You hear that, folks? They had to. And I've said in my other videos, the medication may have saved my life. Okay? And it worked. My first, my first prescription of Prozac, probably age 23. By about the 48-hour mark, it was a miracle drug. By that time, the relationship with my father was irreparable, and I tried. And I had to hire an attorney to extrapolate myself from the family business. Knowing what I know now, none of that would have been necessary an undeveloped brain at 20, 22, 23 years old, and the whole family fragmented. I'd been traumatized even more than I already was, folks, and we're looking at 23 years old. What I want you to know is that there were angels every step along the way in my story. The litigation got settled. My father was so hurt that he wrote me a letter and said, "You're not my son anymore. I never want to see you again." I didn't think he was serious, folks. My brother disappeared that year too. I have an older brother. You ever watch this video, Eric? Miss you and love you. Still, folks, I wasn't going anywhere near Christianity. By this time, it was the early 90s. I still couldn't stomach the rejection that I had received back at age 17. Besides, the only Christians I knew, Jesus Christ died for your sin, get down, worship the Savior, and, jump and, sing and speak in tongues. And I said, that's ridiculous. I can't do that. Listen, the 90s weren't bad. The Prozac wore off after about 2 or 3 years. But I just found more doctors who kept saying, that's to be expected. We'll try this next medication. And we'll switch you from, this SSRI to this antidepressant and this sleeping. You all know the story. It's the way the doctors did it. They turned us into chemical soups. I hit my late 20s, folks. I'd been sober for about 7 years, and I didn't get AA. I didn't get it. Truly. It's a spiritual program about surrender. But in my worldview, surrender was failure. These are the beliefs that kept my parable going, the beliefs that kept me on the merry-go-round. So I figured, I know what the problem is. Remember, I'm still operating with the mindset, I've got to fix what's wrong with me. Okay? So by age 30, I said, I'm going to go into New Age, and I'm going to manifest my dreams. I'm going to go back to graduate school. I'm going to get a master's degree in architecture. And I did it. And I did manifest my dreams. And I manifested alcoholism. And by that time, I started manifesting benzodiazepines. Okay? We're just going to take my 30s and throw them into a conglomerate here. I want to keep this video, I want to move ahead, and I want to turn this into a drunkalog. But you know the story. Pills, 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 alcohol, alcohol, control, attempt. Let's talk about the sex. I was young, I was good looking, and my bedroom was a revolving door. I'm laying it all out for you folks. I was wealthy, and I knew how to invest because I had completed a bachelor's degree in finance. So I took the money from the family business, which was my settlement, and it grew. My first wake-up calls started coming in my 30s. I knew I'd gone down a trajectory of selfishness. And it just didn't feel right, folks. I didn't know what to do. I said, well, why don't you start unselfishing yourself? And I started giving my money away philanthropically. I don't regret that. It's all in my parable. I'm being as honest with you as I can. But it didn't solve the underlying belief that there were beliefs down deep. And I was still taking all the more pills, and no one knew I had a drinking problem. I hid it, like my mother. God rest her soul. Like my grandfather too. Okay. My parents both passed pretty suddenly when I was in my late 30s, and that threw me for a tremendous loop. I kept trying to grasp. I said, well, what's going to make me happy? Maybe if I do another remodeling project. Maybe if I be more selfless and give more money away. Maybe if I do more volunteer work. The whole time, I was pretty drugged on all those medications. Doctor after doctor, psychiatrist, therapist, talk therapy. I couldn't touch it. If I could have done better, I would have. That's why you need to hear the story, folks. If you could have done better, you would have. Look into my eyes. No fault, no blame. but you want me to qualify myself, so here it comes. The real big one came on or about my 40th birthday when I had I'd already been in one mental hospital for one relationship. The relationships were the hardest one for me. We're talking about codependency on steroids. Okay, we're talking about romance. I had been through several, and I had one in my 30s, which put me in a mental hospital. I put myself into a mental hospital, just begging somebody, please find out what's going on, what's wrong. But the final one came on about age 40. By that time, I already been in a treatment center. Even the treatment centers, folks, that would have been almost 15 years ago. The treatment center said these medications are safe. They didn't say that about the benzodiazepines, but they said that about the antidepressants, the antipsychotics, because most of the people in those treatment centers were pretty drugged up on those medications too. Safe to get off alcohol, maybe that's true, but I'm not a pharmacist, so I don't want to go into the pharmacology. But when I got out of the treatment center, I had another breakdown. And that was when I got prescribed the 4 milligrams of Klonopin for 2 years. With the alcohol, with all the pills. Folks, I was a chemical soup. Okay? My 42nd birthday, I said, I got, there's got to be a better way. And I started the upward trajectory on my 42nd birthday. It didn't happen all at once. Okay? I've just been sugarcoating the stories for the last 30 videos. But it took a very long time. Knowing what I know now, I can come back, and you guys don't need to have it take too long, but I had to do it the hard way before YouTube, before Zoom, slowly. The first thing is most important. I had to get those chemicals out of my body. First one was a Klonopin. It was a 9-month dry cut taper. Folks, I was so much anxiety, so much depression, so much loneliness. I was maybe about 42 or 43, and I said, I'm gonna end it. But it doesn't make any sense. And the fear was surmounting. Everybody in these, back then it was benzo buddies. They just said, it's gonna take you years and years. But I didn't give up. I didn't need to take years. I just kept going, putting one foot in front of the other. And this is why I want to make this faith-based, folks. The angels did not stop showing up. The angels kept arriving, and they came in the form of people. I had one friend, Juan, who came and he would crawl through my bedroom window in the morning. He said, get out of bed. I'm taking you to the hot spring. Came in the form of Intiana. Intiana, thank you. She came and lived with me. For the poor woman, lived with me. I didn't even have any heat in the winter of Oregon. She came and lived with me and cooked for me. Came in the form of messengers. I went to a New Age, it's called New Thought Fellowship Church. My close friends didn't understand. By this time, folks, I had lost the rest of my family. This whole time, folks, I had put on a mask. I was so frightened of you seeing who I was. I was terrified. I figured I really had a core belief that I was flawed. In my whole, for 40 years, I had developed this whole facade, just praying that I could pull it off and you wouldn't see who I was. That's it. I don't want to spend too much time on the drugs. I want you to know what my core belief was. My 40s were a mad dash. I had another boyfriend who was another angel who sat with me as I, after the Klonopin. I remember one night I just started screaming, help, help, help. So he was an absolute angel. I put these people through hell because my brain chemistry was so out of calibration that I couldn't hold it down and be normal. Like the facade was cracking. Remember, the facade was cracking. I wasn't cracking the facade. Let's start turning this around, folks, so it doesn't turn into a drunk-a-log. The facade was cracking, but that was a good thing. Yeah. This was my gestation period. These were my wake-up years. This was my cocoon period. This was my dark forest, mine. I may have inherited all that money from the family business, but this is something I can call mine. It was the winter of 2016 when I took my last pill. Got off all the antidepressants slowly. Don't ask me for taper schedules. I can't remember how I did it. I slowly stopped unbelieving it. Told my doctor, I think it's over. And he said, you have my blessing. Good man. By that time, folks, most of the money was gone. I'd spent it trying to fix myself. Didn't work because I wasn't broken, but you can all hear me. What I did have left was in the equity in the form of a home, and I just woke up in early 2016, looked at my roommates, and I said, it's over. You're gonna have to find yourself a new place to live. I got to start my vision quest. Okay. I think that's probably where I pick up in most of my videos. 2016, last pill, start my vision quest. What does a vision quest look like? It looks like a man whose only option left in life. It's less painful to throw in the towel and go on a vision quest than it would be to try and hold on any longer. It simply wasn't possible. Things just got better and better and better. Maybe they didn't always get better, but things, synchronicities started happening. More angels started arriving. More opportunities started happening. Folks, by the time 2016 arrived, the upward trajectory was beginning. The beginning of the end. The beginning of the end of Caterpillar Kenny, and the beginning of the butterfly message. So what did I do? What does a vision quest look like? Well, you don't just automatically flip a switch. You just start pushing yourself out there. The first one I went to was Byron Katie, Ojai, 9-day school for the work, 2016. I just went on the internet. I said, well, I gotta find something to do. And I had told you that back in my 40s, I'd gone to the New Thought Fellowship. So then I did volunteer work for a correctional facility, and more angels. You put yourself out there. That's why I'm always saying it takes work. Put yourself out there and take a risk. My grandfather always said take a risk. He was mostly talking about financial risks, business risks, but it's just the transfer of training. These are emotional risks. He may have had a lot of that too. He was a sweet man. AA service work. I never really did a very good job at staying sober. Nonetheless, 12-step programs all over the map. I think the big one, folks, was when I found my teacher in May of 2017. I took another risk and drove all the way out to Duchesne, Utah, and I met, I'll say it, I met David Hoffmeister, and I did a 30-day immersion with his Living Miracles community. The universe sent me my first teacher. I am a bona fide card-carrying member of the Course in Miracles. But be careful, the Course in Miracles. It's a dangerous book. Yeah, it'll heal you, but you're going to have to put it first. What came after that? Don't think I've talked about my spirit guide Marcia in my other videos. Marcia reappeared, and she said, "We're getting to work, kiddo." Remember, the chemicals are still flushing out of my body, but she said, I'm putting you to work. I'm giving you jobs that are gonna, or assignments. I don't call them jobs. I call them assignments that are gonna, so that you're gonna be too busy to go back into any of those archaic conversations regarding brain chemistry. She just kept me busy. Remember, I'm a 12-stepper from way back. Back then, our slogan, when I got busy, I got better. Now, in the higher level of teachings, that's not true. But when I meet, I've discovered in this community, that's probably going to be more applicable than any other suggestion. When I got busy, I got better. Okay, not at the highest, non-dual levels, but let's start where we're at. I had a few. I tried another boyfriend. This really, I don't want to go into that. I got a little sting there. No, Marcia doesn't punish. But if I come out of alignment with her trajectory, I create my own sting. And it's just how humans learn. I don't know. But we're talking now about age 50. And I'm free of pharmaceuticals. And I'm hauling ass, folks. And I got sent on angel assignments. I got to sit with my aunt at hospice. I volunteered hospice in Portland. And I think Living Miracles was pretty much the tractor beam that sucked me in. It's a very hard community to belong to. They call themselves mystics. They're not religious, and it's actually less of a hybrid social experiment. But it's a goddamn good social experiment, and it works. But it's basically a full immersion. I become a mystic, and I just started following them around. And they have resources and people. They call it joining. Now, I'm a 12-stepper from way back, so I'm not at all, call the phone. I used to call my sponsor when my first sponsor was the one who helped me with the litigation with my father, by the way. I hope she hears this. God damn, I miss her. I hope she. Anyway, so from way back, the rotary phone, I always called and asked for help. It's a formula that's worked for me my entire life. But now the pharmaceuticals are out of my story, I'm starting to get my feelings back, folks. I'm starting to defrost. Those chemicals, those pills are a mixed bag, folks. Yeah, they may keep us out of mental hospitals, but in the long term, I don't highly. Well, I'm not. That's none of my business. But you want the rest of the story. I just kept following the Living Miracles, doing their online retreats, attending their programs, scared to death, pissed off at all of them, but at least the anger was coming out and I was getting down to the feelings so that I could get to the beliefs underneath. The real miracle came, folks, and I put it in 2 other videos, when this trail of breadcrumbs led to plant medicine. It was about 2.5 years ago that one thing led to another, and I'd started to explore plant medicines. And that's where I want this video to leave off. All that work that I just described to you, all that hustling butt, I think Marsha was getting me ready for my first ayahuasca ceremony. That's why people always want to ask about ayahuasca. I say, do the homework first. Bring your spiritual toolbox into ceremony. Wasn't just ayahuasca. There's another medicine. I got another video. It's the Bufo alvarius, the 5-MeO-DMT. I don't want to go into too much detail because we're coming on 28 minutes already, and I try and keep these videos short, but you wanted my story. The plant medicines were hard ceremonies, folks. Remember when I started my story and I said that core belief to find out what was wrong with me? It was actually, now I knew it intellectually up here, but it was lodged down in the subconscious. I had been running from something my entire life, and the only way to dislodge that clog was in ceremony with a qualified shaman to take me down with the ayahuasca and face it. Man's got to face it. There must have been about 7 or 8 of those ceremonies. They're not easy. It worked. I graduated from pharmacology, and I went in the direction of shamanism. That's why I'm a psychiatric shaman. That's why I call myself that. In my other videos, I went down the road of materialism, did my homework, didn't work. Lucky I made it out, but I backed out. And now I'm going down the trajectory of spirituality, okay? With the help of the sacred plant medicines. That was 50, 51, 50, 60, 70. 3 years after my last pharmaceutical. It doesn't need to be that. If this rings true for you, do your homework, do your research. I'm not a technical shaman. Actually, I'm not a shaman at all. It's just a title I've given myself, so the book will have a nice, so I can make these YouTube videos and create a dream character. I'm not a shaman. But let me tell you this much. After you've done that much plant medicine, The medicine is a teacher. And I learned, especially in some of those Bufo Alvedius ceremonies, I got it. That's my story, folks. I'm 54 years old. Am I healed? Healed from what? That's the big question. Am I healed? Healed from what? I know who I am now. It's amazing. And, you know, do I still have problems? Well, of course. I'm still in this time-space dimension. But the question you ought to be asking me is, do I believe in those problems anymore? No, I don't believe them anymore. So I can face what arises on a daily, every day. That's it. You guys wanted the story of you know, the parable of Kenneth, the psychiatric shaman. That's it. Nothing went wrong. Trial and error. Fall down 9 times, get up 10. But for you, it's going to be fall. I told this to a sponsee a couple months ago. I said, for you, it's going to be fall down 2 times and get up 3. Remember my last video? I said it's exponentially speeding up. The energy hitting the planet is ramping up, folks. Let me just end this video on this one note. I'm not entirely convinced that these calls that I'm getting are all medically induced. Remember, I'm the shaman who sees the forest for the trees. There's a global awakening taking place. Anybody who finds my videos, I can't tell anybody what's right or wrong for them, but I can only share that getting off those pills was the best decision I ever made, because I'm feeling my soul. Yeah, I know it's my soul because it's my little boy, folks, and it's not new. It's an ancient memory. I remember this feeling when I was 6 years old, and I would be told by my mother that instead of walking south to go home after school, you're going to walk north, and you're going to get to spend the afternoon with your Grandma Marcia. That's the feeling, folks, is the excitement of a 6-year-old little boy who gets to see his grandma after school. The feeling of walking home on Santa Clara and Santa Ana with my art projects in my left hand, and seeing my Grandma Marcia coming the other way with Maggie on a leash. Now you know where Marcia comes from. She was my grandmother. It's my heart. It's really that simple, folks. How did I do? 33 minutes. I knew it was going to be a long drunk-a-log. Maybe more than drunk-a-log. I'm going to grocery outlet, and Marcia said, stop the car, give your story. Oh, so that's it, 33 minutes. I'm starting a ministry, folks. I want to get you all the hell out of Dodge. Take Zoom calls every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. The link to my Zoom room for that 9 a.m. call is going to be in the description below. You know how all my videos go. Tell me what works. Tell me what's helpful. Tell me what you need to hear more of. That's the reason I'm making this video, by the way, because you all wanted to hear my story. That's it. Remember the slogan of the psychiatric shaman. You've not been damaged. Who I am is a little 6-year-old after school walking north with his art project in his left hand to go see his grandma. The innocence. You can't damage innocence. You are innocence, and you are innocent. Repeat after me. You are innocence, and you are innocent. You can't damage that, folks. These are just spacesuits. These are meat suits. They're going to die anyway. My grandma died when I was 16 years old. But that's not true. She's been with me the whole time. It's Marcia, my spirit guide. Eric, if you see this, she loved you too. 35 minutes. Don't make me cry. I love you all. Put your comments below and tell me what works. And keep going. Expect a miracle. Bye.